Hello, hello. Welcome to the live demo of the app that I'm building called Task Alignment. Super excited to be sharing this. I've been debating on this and really looking forward to if I wanted to reveal all the nitty gritty or keep it to myself or just do what I'm doing now, which is sharing the journey. Because honestly, I kind of wish I had done this sooner, but I'm glad that I'm doing it now. And the whole purpose of this is not only to show you, obviously, how this can help you, but more so to create a time capsule so I can see where this app was at this point in time compared to wherever it's going to go from this point on. So if you're here live, thank you for joining. Super appreciate your support. Some of you guys may have been following me on the YouTube shorts and keeping up with what's been going on there. But this is going to be a full comprehensive breakdown so you can see how all of the features work together and to get you guys excited for how this can actually help you. So first of all, this app, I want to get this straight. This app is for people who really struggle to prioritize themselves and have a hard time sticking to doing the things that they know that they actually want to do. So it's one thing to be like, oh, I want to learn a new language and then create a habit tracker, practice language every day, whatever. But I feel like there is no tool, no productivity tool that's digital that supports you in that journey in a way that doesn't turn it into toxic productivity or just something that ends up being another chore or task that you've inflicted upon yourself. So this app is supposed to help make the journey enjoyable and really keep you focused on what you want to be working on, and also to not to call you out on your bullshit. Like if you're saying you want to do certain things, but then for some reason they're not getting done, it's kind of hard to get a overall snapshot of your life to see why it's not happening. And let's be real, we are all very smart and we can tend to outsmart ourselves and convince ourselves that we're actually doing what we're supposed to be doing, even though we're not, or we're making excuses. So this app also has built-in very quick reflections to show you where you are and where you want to be. So that was a really long-winded explanation for who this is for. But in short, if you have ADHD and you have goals or things that you want to change in your life but struggle to change them, this is for you. Yeah. Okay, so it's been a while since I've streamed, so please forgive me if things are a little bit discombobulated. Okay, I'm trying to see. Go ahead and as I'm talking, you can go ahead and ask questions, leave feedback in the comments. I may end up answering your questions as I go along and show more things. But I totally thrive when you guys interact in the chat or the comments or whatever. So don't be scared to, bounce around in there. Okay, so let me get to it. So as you can see, this is the main board. This is the Kanban board. I'm using some element of familiarity and also thinking about what I like about the bullet journal. And what I like about the bullet journal is that it's analog, very tactile, and I feel like I can connect to what I'm writing in there much better when I can write it and see what's on the page. So it was really important to me to use a layout that allowed some sort of analog field. So I went with the Kanban board. All right, let's see in the chat. Hi, Sarah. Julia, hello. The Immunides, hello, welcome, welcome. Okay, so when you go to create a task, it appears in the task inbox, and I'll explain the task inbox in a bit. It'll make more sense when I explain future build outs. But in here, I'll just put demonstration. Whatever. This is what started this app. So This may look semi-familiar. In my latest video, I talked about the easy filter, which was based off of energy, simplicity, and impact. Well, I wanted to use that within this app, but as I started using the app, I learned that simplicity became overly complex and it wasn't straightforward. So I made the hard decision to move away from the easy filter and go with the ED filter. Not as cool sounding, but I think it works functionally better. So on here, you can rate a task based on energy, difficulty, and impact. So for this demonstration, this requires, I would say, a medium amount of energy. Difficulty for me is not that hard. And then the impact of this is going to be high. And then it calculates a score based on your ratings. If this is the only thing you ever do in this app, I guarantee that you will benefit from using this, because this is something that I found really hard to do in my bullet journal when I just had a long list of tasks. I would just prioritize tasks by like putting an asterisk or maybe like adding extra asterisks. But at the end of the day, it was really hard for me to objectively decide how to prioritize tasks. So it gives a score, and for this score, you can come back in here and change it later if you want. Impact is weighed at 50%, difficulty is weighed at 30%, and then energy is weighed at 20%. And this is very intentional because if everything was even, you could really be avoiding doing things that could really make a difference just because you don't feel like it and it's hard. And to be honest, if you want to have any change in your life that's meaningful, you're going to have to do things you don't feel like, and sometimes it'll be hard. So, but that's the simplification of this formula. There's way more to it. My friend and I that's helping me build this app spent a whole entire day going back and forth, making sure that this formula not only works in theory, but in reality. And that was a big part of this app that I wanted to be consistent, was making sure that everything that goes into this app works in reality and not just in theory. I think that is one of the biggest frustrations with productivity apps, like with Notion, for example. In theory, it sounds really nice to have pages and pages and have everything organized and build systems and have categories and projects here and there and link this to that. But at the end of the day, you're like, all right, I think I just bamboozled myself by feeling productive to just build this thing, and I actually am not using it. Ask me how I know that, because I've been there. Okay. All right, so once the card is rated, it gives it a rating number. And from here, you can drag this card into, oops, where'd it go? All right, bugs. That's another thing. I wanted to demonstrate this app with all of its bugs. I have no idea where that card went. Oh, there it is. I accidentally dragged it onto a subtask. Oh, I'm kind of revealing a feature before getting into it. What did I rate this at? Medium, low, impact. Okay, so this is the reality of demoing live. This is why Apple doesn't demo their stuff live and they just show you like screenshots of their cool shit, because they don't want shit breaking in front of millions of people. But I'm not Apple. Okay, so from here, I know I have to refresh this right now because there's a bug in here where it doesn't drag and drop. So I take the demo card. All right. Of course, this was working before I got on the live, but now it's not. So the idea is you drag the demo card. This is a hot start. All right. So let's just pretend that this card gets dragged into these columns and it goes in there. We'll delete that for now. This is the reality, guys. Okay. So let's say I drag my card into here. So here's my actual cards. Just so you know, this is a real board, like this is my real life. And the 4 columns that are in here are today, progress pushers, maintenance, and park tasks. So each of these, I think it's kind of self-explanatory, but I'm going to explain it anyway. So the today column, obviously these are the things that you want to be doing like today. These cards will sit in here for as long as you let them sit in here. But so like if I don't do it tomorrow, they're still going to be in there today. Progress pushers, these are things that are going to push your progress towards whatever it is that you want to work on or change. Maintenance is things like that you just have to do, adulting. So like putting air in your tires, grocery shopping, doing laundry, you know, like the stuff that we have to do regardless of what our goals are. And then park tasks, these are things that are like, I know I want to work on this at some point in time. However, I don't have the capacity, bandwidth, energy, time to be working on this. So I'm just going to capture the task and leave it in here for now. This park task thing, I think, is very critical because we can get, especially with ADHD and having like, what's that word? When you like shiny object syndrome. Yes. Shiny object syndrome really comes on hard. And sometimes it results in things like building this app. And sometimes it just results in me going on a long tangent and avoiding what I should or not should, what I actually want to be working on. So I'll end up parking tasks in here. And when I look through here later, sometimes I realize like, oh, you know, that sounded cool in the beginning, but actually I don't want to do that anymore. So sometimes just like park it, come back to it later, and then decide like, do you really want to do this? It's kind of like when you go to buy something in the store and you're like, do I really want to buy this? And then 6 months later, you're like, yeah, I still do. And then you buy it. Okay. All right. So man, I hope the cards work. I think it might be because I'm screen sharing. Let me see what happens if I switch screens. 1 second. Let me stop sharing. Because it was working before I got on here. Oh no, something broke. All right, so I literally just tried to undo whatever I just did to try to fix that. So hopefully it works. Anyway, let me look in the comments really quick while that's happening. Hello from the UK, Carla. Yes, bugs do always have great comedic timing. Yes. I'm glad you think the workflow is gorgeous, though. All right, let's see what's happening here. Okay, so what I'm doing essentially is, and this is a great time for me to talk about this, is asking AI. So I am using Claude Code to, let me full screen myself. Sorry. I'm using Claude Code to build this app. I started building this app with no experience. My friend that's helping me work on this, she actually sent me a course called Build Your Own Apps Using AI. And I was like, sounds cute, but like not really something that I want to do. And I originally was going to build, like I got into it because I wanted to build like a life coaching app situation. But then I learned really fast that that wasn't what I want to do when I built my first app, which was a timer. And basically like the course, and I'm going to tell you now, like you don't need to buy a course on this. You could literally just ask AI to help you learn what you don't know. So when I started this, I literally, and I don't identify as like a coder or programmer or software developer of any type. Like I literally just use Claude Code and I knew exactly what I want. And it was really helpful that I knew the terms of like web development to tell it exactly what I want to get the results that I wanted. 1 second, let me see if this thing's done doing what it's doing. Yay, okay. The drag and drop's back, people. All right, let me share my screen again. Hello, share my screen. There we go. Okay. All right, so here's my demo app card. It can now be moved to other places. Okay, so as I was saying for the Claude coding thing, I have been learning how to figure out how to do this for probably a month and a half or two, but very intensely. So I think in the big picture, that sounds really fast, but I have the privilege of spending a shitload of time with this and learning how to do it. So whatever I don't know, I'm like, what's API calling? What is CRUD? What is it like? Anything that I don't know that the AI is spitting back to me, I'm like, what is that? Talk to me like I'm 5 and I've never coded before. And it gives me little like metaphors like, this is like if you have a chef in the kitchen and then like customers, and your API calling is like the waitress that goes back and forth and communicates what the customers want to the kitchen so that you get what you want when you order it. So like that has been really helpful. But I'd be lying if I said that was the only way that I was learning how to do this. One of my friends is also building an app and he has a little more experience with this. So he has been helping me along and getting me to generally understand what I'm doing. And then one of my neighbors here in Hawaii, he is a developer as well. So he gave me tips on like workflow, and that was game changing. And then additionally, somebody in the audience reached out to me and asked if I needed help, and they're a software engineer. So I'm not blindly making this app using AI and like expecting to deploy this into the world and be like, look, I built this amazing app by myself just using AI, because that's a lie. There's way more that goes into this, and I have like phenomenal respect for coders, programmers, software developers, anybody who tinkers with the stuff in the background that we don't see. Shout out to you. All right. Okay, so anyway, let's get back to how this app is working. I'm looking at my notes here. Okay, so let's talk about adding subtasks. So for some freaking reason, subtasks are always overlooked in productivity apps. So I wanted this to be something that was very like a huge part of the app, because for some reason they're just like, oh no, to create subtasks, just put it in the notes box and use bullet points. And it's like, what? And then you have to like click on the task to open it to see the subtasks. They're like not in your face. It doesn't really work intuitively, whatever. So here you can add multiple subtasks. And if you notice, the estimated hours for the task increases by an hour for every subtask that's in here. As somebody who struggles with time optimism, a term that I learned from a subscriber, I just tend to think I can get shit done faster than I actually can. So when you create a task, the default setting is 1 hour. So even if it's a 15-minute task, it probably takes me an hour to do it by the time I like sit down and actually do it. So I would rather bloat my day with extra time than feel like I'm always time crunched. Because when you're feeling time crunched, you feel stressed. And when you're stressed, things are like phenomenally less enjoyable and creativity just goes out the fucking window. So to make sure I don't booby trap myself, I've set this to a minimum of an hour. I'm debating on putting in a function where you can go into the settings and override this and turn it into 30 minutes. I'm not sure if I want to do that yet. I'm going to wait until beta testing and see if the people scream for it. Because as of right now, in reality, not in theory, in reality, this is working for me. So anyway, I put in here like fix cards so they actually drop. Excuse my spelling. So I have my tasks in here. Fix other glitches. So when I complete a task, what's supposed to happen is the estimated hours for this card goes down. So you can see like you're kind of chipping away at a task. Sometimes if you're like, all right, I don't have time to do everything for this task card, let me just work on fixing the glitches today. So you can take this subtask, drag it into today, and ta-da, it becomes its own task. And like a new task, you rate it, so fix its own glitches, energy, difficulty, probably a little high, impact, maybe medium, and it rates it. And vice versa, if you come up with a task and you're like, winds panel broken, or let me just say, fix winds panel. So this is kind of like a similar task to this one, where I have like, I just need to fix things. So maybe it's like prep. Actually, to make this more realistic, prep demo app. I could take this task card. Wait, let me refresh the page. I could take this task card and combine it with this. So now we got fixed winds panel in there. And I realized this because I had like a couple of tasks that were very similar that I could knock out all at once. That was like emailing. And I was like, okay, you know what? I could do all these tasks together. Let me just group them all at once. And I was like, I wish there was a way to do that. Oh, I should just stack the cards. So that's how this feature came about. And then I'm pretty sure you can just drop, yeah. So if you already have a subtask card or a main card like this, I haven't implemented this where you can like, you know, dump the whole thing on there. I don't know if that's needed though. So just so you know, that's not a thing. Okay. So yeah, even if you delete the task, the estimated hours go down. Another important thing is when you click on the estimated hours, you can choose hours higher than what's on the default. However, if you have subtasks on here, you can't select anything lower than that. And that's to prevent you from being overly optimistic and being like, oh yeah, this task card with 7 subtasks, it'll only take me an hour. Like, no, bullshit. Don't do that to yourself. And this also gives you a better sense of how to control your time optimism. Yeah, and catch yourself when you start overcommitting, over planning, out of people pleasing, poor boundaries, excitement, silver, what's it called? Shiny object syndrome, whatever it may be. This mechanism right here has prevented me from, it makes me think twice. I'll just put it that way, because sometimes I just don't think twice and I just do. And I'm like, I regret this. Okay, let's see. All right, so let's talk about adding due dates. So when you create a task card, from here, you can put a due date on a card. So if I'm like, all right, this is due on the 30th, rate it, you got your due date right here. I was very intentional on what I wanted to put directly on the surface of the card versus what I wanted to have in a menu. Because I think having, first of all, out of sight, out of mind. So that's why like I made sure anything that I wanted that is pertinent information in order for me to complete the task, I want it on the front of the card. I just want to see it. I don't want to have to click on it and go into a modal. That was also something that was extremely intentional, was avoiding modals. To me, and if you're wondering, a modal is like the pop-up that comes on screen. So when you like go to create a task in other apps, typically what happens is a window pops up and then you like put in all your details and then you create the task. I didn't want that at all, because to me, in order to see the information inside the task card, if it's not already on there, that's like taking like a snack and then like throwing it into the back of your pantry and closing the door. And then like you just forget about it. And the next thing you know, you're throwing out a rotten bag of beef jerky. Well, maybe not beef jerky, that'd probably still be good, but you get the point. So I didn't want anything that I wanted to see tucked away, and anything that I feel like I already like tend to do to a fault, I added friction to. So I don't know about you, but I used to abuse due dates. So instead of putting it on the card visible where you can add a due date, I made it so that you have to click into this little menu to add a due date, to mark something as urgent, to snooze a task, to park it, or to delete it. I think just literally adding one click of friction between like making that decision is enough to slow me down so that I'm not just like putting due dates on everything, marking everything as urgent, and like, just doing things without taking a second to think about it. So, yeah. Anyway, you can put the due date on here. You can go in here and change it later on if you want. If the due date is passed, like this, this was due like over a week ago. If it's passed, it's orange. I need to get down to the reason why I haven't done this before. It's really just priorities. Yeah. Anyway, and then if you're like, you know what, actually, I don't need a due date on this, you can remove it. So that's how due dates work. When it comes to urgent tasks, if you notice there's kind of like a color system in here, I'm going to get into that for urgent tasks. So if I say like, it's really reserved for tasks that are actually urgent. So recently it was register car that was actually due on the 31st. If this does not happen, something legitimately bad will happen. So I would mark it as urgent, and a bomb shows up with a color change that's orange. So if I go to put this in a column, no matter where I put it, the orange will persist. Notice that some of these boxes do not have filled in colors. So this is so that there's no oversight, because I've definitely struggled from also like just overlooking very important things and being like, oh, fuck, because I just didn't see it. So I made it so that it's really easy to tell when something is urgent. Now, I did get some feedback on the bomb emoji, and I tested this to see like how it would look if people used like emojis in their titles. I'm not a emoji title person, but I made the emoji slightly bigger. But I think I'm going to, in the future, when I build in more settings, I'm going to allow settings for people to choose their emoji. So like if you like the fire emoji, maybe the triangle with the exclamation point, whatever you like, maybe the red stop sign, who knows, explosions. I'll let you choose your emoji, but within reason. Like I'm not going to give you the whole emoji board. That way it adds a little bit of like customization, personalization to your taste and whatever works for you and makes sense. Okay, so that is the urgent function. Then we have snoozing tasks. So I'll show you my park tasks. I have some snooze tasks in here. This is a glitch. This is not supposed to be in there. Yeah, you can snooze a task if you're like, okay, I want to do this thing, but not right now. But I don't want to forget to do it because it's also sort of time sensitive and it's kind of like next in line, but you just don't want it cluttering up your page. So let's say I want to snooze fix other glitches. Like after this demo, like it's really not pertinent that I fix all the like tiny things. There's other things that I need to be doing that will push this app forward. So maybe I decide like, all right, let's snooze this until the middle of September. You pick the date, and then from here, you can choose where you want to return this task to. So the task card is automatically going to go into the park task column. And then from there, when the date arrives from wherever you snoozed it, it will return back to whatever column you select on. So in theory, if I select the today column, I don't really like doing that because I don't like when things just like show up in my face. I want it in progress pushers. I snooze it, it ends up here, fix other glitches, snoozed until September 17th. I love this because it keeps me from forgetting to do things that I actually want to do that are like kind of parked, but next in line. Also, I just want to acknowledge Rachel in Theory in the crowd. Hello, welcome to the club. Glad you could join us. All right, so for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to try to change the snooze function, so you can also remove it. I'm going to change the snooze function so that it snoozes for the current day and have it return to today. So what should happen, there you go. It jumps into today, because today is August 24th. And when it comes back, it has this notification dot. So that way you can see like when a task has appeared that wasn't there before. Because it'd be kind of weird if it just showed up and you're like, have you always been here? Like, has this task, where did this task come from? Did I make this? So to make it clear, I just put this notification dot on there, and to get rid of it, you simply just click it. Just acknowledge that it's present, it's there. Okay. All right, so that's the snooze function. And then, all right, I didn't talk about this planning thing yet. So right now, this is broken. The calculation isn't working, but I'm going to explain to you how it actually works. All this is it's supposed to add the estimated hours for all of your tasks. So this should say plan 4 hours. I don't know why it's broken, but let me just delete this and see. Yeah, so it's saying 1 hour, and it's like, no, there's 2 hours here. But what it's supposed to do is when you add tasks into the today column, this thing will tell you plan for X number of hours. Like I said, it's broken right now, but in the future, when I add in a calendar function, this is going to allow you to get real and be like, oh, I have 4 hours worth of tasks, and it turns out that I have 1 hour of time to do them. So you can quickly see, like, without having to really think hard about it, like, oh, I'm overscheduled. So this part here, I think I'm going to make this more prominent because I think it can get skipped right now because it's kind of small. But this definitely works for me when it was working, like yesterday, because I catch myself and I'm like, plan 6 hours. Okay, I'm supposed to go buy Toby dog food, and I also have to go get the oil change for the car. I don't think I can do 6 hours worth of tasks. Like, it sounds so freaking simple when you say it out loud, but tell me why we tend to overschedule ourselves anyway. Like, and I think it's just because we're going so fast in our brains and in real life that we just don't take a second to think, huh, I have lots of things to do today that are going to be very tiring and take up a lot of time. Maybe I shouldn't overload myself with all these extra to-dos. Like, I don't know. For some reason, we skip that. Okay. All right. So now, chill mode. So speaking of time and energy, going back to this rating system, when you rate something as low energy, medium energy, or high energy, I know this can play an impact in getting things done because, especially I remember when I worked in the clinic, it was nearly impossible for me to do anything after getting off work. I was just zombified and done for the day, and all I wanted to do was, watch Rick and Morty, eat dinner, and go to bed. So I implemented chill mode, and when you click on this with a single click of a button, the screen changes, and it will automatically filter any tasks that are at low energy. So Start the Mountain Is You. This is a book that I want to start. I rated this as low energy, so it's in there. This is also a great way to get real and be like, you know what? Like, fixing other glitches actually kind of drains me. This is a medium energy task. Get this out of here, and it'll go away. This is for the days where you're just kind of like, I got a little bit of gas in the tank. I'm really wanting to do something, just like not something huge. Like, let me just do something bite-sized, like that doesn't require a lot of energy. And there you go. So that's chill mode. I find it, truthfully, I have not really used this function yet. Oh, that's a glitch. Interesting. And I think it's just because I've generally gotten better at understanding my time and energy just from using this. So this is like a giant red button where you're like, abort everything. If you just can't make a decision because you're like, wow, I know I should do these highly prioritized things, but I just can't. You just hit chill mode. All right. Now, next is linking lists. So lists are a function in here. I kept this extremely simple on purpose. This is like my known bugs list. You can flip through here. I kind of kept it like, I wanted it to feel, again, more analog. So it's like flipping through pages. And what I like about this is something that I actually took from Marie Kondo, and it's how she organizes papers. So her method for organizing papers is basically you put everything in one place in a stack. You don't file it, you don't separate it. And the idea is when you go to look for something or when you need something, it forces you to sift through other papers and remove things that aren't supposed to be in there, or remind you of things that you're like, oh yeah, this is something like I should pay the car registration. Holy shit, this almost got lost in the pile. But I was originally maybe going in there looking for like my eye prescription. So I like that because like even before this demo, I was looking for a list and I was like, oh, I don't need this. And I just deleted stuff. So it's like a subtle way of cleaning without making it a task to clean. And of course, you can go through the list through like a scroll. So you can find your list this way. And I kept it really simple where literally the only thing you can do in here is add stuff, press enter, add more stuff. You can't make this fancy. You can't indent. You can't change the colors. That's very intentional because I'm like, less is more. If you just want to make the list and move on with your life, that's all you need to do. We don't need to fancify it because this is kind of going back to like the bullet journal trap where you're like, oh, I can't wait to set up my bullet journal. And then you spent like 30 hours like beautifying it and not actually using it in a functional way. So that's kind of where this is, my thought processes on this. You can change the list from bullets to numbers and that's pretty much it. That's all you can do with it. Well, that's a lie. That's not all you can do with it. Look at this next feature. So if I want to link this list, so let's say I'm like, let's see, this is like a soft reveal of a bunch of stuff. Okay, so let's say I'm on like any random page. When I come into the Notes app, so hello, I can type whatever in here. So you type your notes in here. Make this bigger. Oh, wait. Excuse me. You can make it bigger if you want. Again, I intentionally made this note-taking section very small because it encourages you to just write exactly what you need. And this goes back to when I used to use my bullet journal as a calendar, and the boxes that I had to fill in to write in my like daily highlights were small enough for me to make sure I was being concise with what I was putting in there, and large enough so that I could fit exactly what I needed. And it really maxed me out at like 3 or 4 things that I could write in there. So the note, like, even though you can like drag this open, the default window is pretty small. So that's on purpose. But then what you can do is link a list. So you click this button, and if I want to link, where is it? The bug fixes. Known bugs. So I got my known bugs in here. If I click this link, bam, look at that. The list just appears on here. So this is also keeping the future mobile version in mind because, like, for example, I went to the gym and I did something hard and I wanted to record that. And I'm like, damn, I've been wanting to keep a list of like all the exercises that we do. It is CrossFit. So like a deadlift, and like put just like what my max weight is on there, just so I know like where I was before. And it would just be so cool if on my app, I could just like open it up, put on the list, deadlift, whatever amount of pounds, I don't even know what it is, And then I could just log that in at the gym and then attach it to a card that's like go to CrossFit or whatever. So like another way you could think of this is like attaching a grocery list, or if you're like crafting a new project and you need to go to like, is Hobby Lobby still open? Michael's, you need to go there and buy craft supplies. You can put your list on there. And you can link more than one list. So for whatever reason, if I wanted to link this to, bam, so I can switch between the lists on the card. So it reinforces this feature and makes the notes more useful. And you can hide all that jazz. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna take a break and look at the comments in here and see what's going on. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, yes. All right, cool. Yes, I see we're liking the subtask function, the bomb emoji. Yes, it would definitely makes me pay attention too. Yeah, time optimism. Truly trying to help with that. Okay, next up we have, okay, so I've talked about this in the YouTube short, and I just said to my friend last night, I demoed this to my friend, and I was like, there is one thing in this app that brings me back to it, even if I don't do any of the tasks on here, if I don't look at it for whatever reason, and that is the wins panel. So the wins panel is exactly what it sounds like. So I would put in here, did live demo on YouTube, bam, and you just put your wins in, and then it'll have little like day markers of what you did. And these are all my wins. And I recently did a huge like reorganization of the back end of this app, and I lost all my wins in the process. And I am not even kidding you. I started to lose my shit a little. I was like, no, this is not good. And Abby was like, you just start over. And I was like, no, I love seeing my wins. I was legitimately like devastated when I thought I had lost all my wins. And then it told me that I had like 107 wins at the time. So something that I'm thinking of adding into here is like a wins counter. So you can just see like all your wins, maybe a view where you can see like a monthly or weekly view of the wins. Just to give you perspective that just because you didn't do a task doesn't mean that you're losing. So a question that I often get almost all the time when I show this to people is, do the completed tasks also go into the wins? And the answer is no. And the reason for that is because I think we need to start dissociating our self-worth and value and what makes a day a good day or what makes you feel good. I think we need to disassociate those things from productivity. And I think like if I came in here and I did absolutely nothing on the board, but maybe it was because I reconnected with a friend over the phone, went on a spontaneous hike, and made a new friend that wants to help me work on the app. Like those are huge wins, but we tend to discount those, and not only just discount them, forget. And then like when the weekend comes or Sunday comes and you're like, damn, what did I even do this week? Oh my God, because you look, the only feedback you get is looking at your to-do list. And when you see things haven't been done, you're like, oh God, what did I even do if I didn't do this? I just wasted a bunch of time. Well, no, maybe if you like captured actually what you did, you'd be like, oh, actually, like I spent quality time with people. I ended up like decluttering my closet, even though it wasn't on my to-do list. Like, I think this is just something that, one, it also helps practice gratitude too, because you just think back on your day and you're like, oh, what were the good things that happened? And two, give you perspective that your productivity board, like your to-do list, shouldn't be your only mechanism for feedback for making progress. So that's my spiel on the wins. Hope you liked it. Because this is like, I made it even so that you can like view this in any window. And when I do move this into a mobile version of the app, it's going to have very limited features in it, and the wins is going to be one of them. Her. Yeah. Okay, so next, now we're going to get into the stuff that's not on this board that just takes this to a whole nother level. So everything that I've showed you is kind of like the functional features that I'm just like, okay, by default, my dream productivity app should have these things. Like it needs to have these things. Otherwise, I'm not using it. But what I think the reason why I'm calling this app Task Alignment is because I want it to not just like have you do more things, because that's what productivity apps do. They encourage you to do more things. I specifically want this app to help you do the right things for you. There's a huge distinction in that. And I think it's like very clear when I say it now. So I've built in a dashboard using stuff that I've like kind of shared in old videos. And this is based off of the Life Audit Wheel, but it works a little bit differently. So what you can do with your cards is you can create categories for each card. So like each area of your life. And way back, I did a Life Audit Wheel video, Life Balance Wheel. And some of the feedback that I was getting was like, oh, what if relationships, what if I like having it split up into like family, friends, marriage, and pets? And I'm like, good point. Like, okay. So what this does is it allows you to create your own category. And like, let's say, I don't know, you live in Alaska and taking care of your pets is really important because you need to mush your dogs so that they can take you in the town. That's a real thing. My friend is currently living in Alaska and she said it's quite interesting. Anyway, so like pets, you can add a category there. Or if you have horses, like I'm pretty sure horses take a lot of work. I don't know if you guys have horses. If you have horses, like you got hella money, but horses take a lot of work to manage. So like maybe they need their own category, like that's its own thing. So this is like allowing you to compartmentalize your life and actually quickly see like what you're doing intentionally, like where your intentions lie. So you can click on each of these areas and I know these kind of look weird right now. And it'll show you right now completed tasks. So I have 8 tasks in finance completed, 7 in business, 8 in relationships, 1 in health, 0 for YouTube. So as you can see, I'm currently doing this YouTube demo, right? However, I have never made a task that was like YouTube specific, like come up with a demo or like do the demo, right? Like draft demo. Like I never did. I just was like, I'm just going to do it. I never created a task for it. Same with like my YouTube shorts. I just kind of upload when I feel like it. I don't make it a task and say upload YouTube shorts. I just do it when I feel like it. So there's pros and cons of doing stuff when you feel like it. If you just never feel like it, it'll never get done. And if you like do it when you feel like it, it's more fun. But if you want to be intentional and hold yourself more accountable to working on an area that you truly want to make improvements in, this is a great way to get feedback on if you're actually doing those things. So I know right now that I want to make improvements in business and my finances, not necessarily relationships, and I'll get into that in a minute. But this is a great feedback thing to be like, oh yeah, clearly I'm being intentional about creating tasks for finances and business. YouTube, not really, because it's not my focus. And then you can see the number of active tasks. So I think this looks kind of weird, but it's pretty easy to read. Like you just hover over it. Like I currently have 2 tasks that are active in relationships, and an active tasks are tasks that are in today, progress pushers, and maintenance. So the tasks that are in these 3 columns, because if it's parked, it's not active. Okay, so you can click between these and see what you're doing in each area if you have parked, active, and completed. So for example, here in this category container thing, I built in reflections. And the nice thing about this is honestly, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. You can still get all the value, you can still get a lot of value from the cards based off of everything I showed you up to this point without doing any of this. And that's also intentional because I don't like when apps tell me what to do. Like, stop sending me notifications that are saying, hey, you didn't do your journaling today. I'm like, because I don't want to. Now, delete. So, like, all of this is kind of optional, and all it does is increase the value for yourself. And I think when you choose to do these things, it means more than having a automated prompt telling you what to do. Everything in this app that is suggested to you is suggested to you from yourself. like there might be subtle prompts or like visual things that I put in here to encourage you to do things that'll be good for you. But at the end of the day, it's on you if you want to come in here and create your categories and like put your reflections in here. So for example, also you can click on these to jump. Like business, this is like my primary focus area. So I have in here like my why, like my good enough standards, and I'll get into what this is. But like for home, like I don't have anything in there right now. Like, and it's just because right now I don't want to think about it, and that's fine because I don't want to create friction in getting started. And sometimes I think, not even sometimes, we're really good at doing like, over preparing also as a form of procrastination. So procrastiplanning. I didn't want this to be a form of procrastiplanning because there was a debate where it was like, okay, in the onboarding of the app, people should do this. And then I was like, no, that's just going to make people drop off. They're going to be like, what the fuck? I don't want to do this up front. I just want to get started. What the hell? So the way that these categories work with the board is, oh, that's a glitch. It's not supposed to be there, but whatever. You can categorize cards. So any card, you see these little pills. It says business, finance, relationships, business. Anything that doesn't have a pill and is in gray hasn't been categorized. So, well, if it doesn't have a pill, it hasn't been categorized. So fix other glitches. If I want to categorize this card, I come in here and I can see the categories. The fraction showing is the number of task cards that exist for the card out of all of the cards that exist in total. I think I'm going to remove that because it's kind of just confusing. AI just did that on its own and I didn't ask for it, but here we are. So fix other glitches. If I wanted to say, okay, that's a business thing, it'll automatically put the pill there. And when I look in here, it'll add the number of active cards for business. So yeah, that's like a way that's how the categories work with this. If I were, let's do the one for pets. So let's make also in this view, you can add a task from here. So I'll be like comb Toby. Like Toby's my dog, if you don't know. Oh, this is glitchy. All right, well, let's just send it to the inbox. That little inbox marker appears there. That's also for the mobile, so you can send tasks into your inbox. Comb Toby's in here. I don't know why it didn't rate. That's a glitch. And then from here, I can be like, categorize pets. So now I got my pet pill on there. And then in here, let me refresh the page. Oh, this is on completed, that's why. If I click on pets, one active task. Desired improvements, make Toby's fur immaculate, whatever you want. My why, so that people and I, is that correct grammar? Enjoy petting him. Good enough standards. Comb him one time a week. Honestly, that's probably what it should probably be real. Okay, so notice that this doesn't have a color. This is what I'm going to get into next. And that's because it hasn't been placed on the matrix. So the matrix is the good enough matrix. And if you have taken the Power Moves workshop, you know exactly what this is and how it works. But I'm going to quickly explain it here because I don't think you need to take the workshop in order to benefit from this. However, you would highly super benefit if you did take it. You'll find it in the same link for this video in the description. And this tool is designed to give you a snapshot of your life and provide clarity on what you want to focus on and what is good enough to help you get out of overwhelm. So I'm gonna move things around. So actually, let me just show you how this works with the task cards. So anything in the focus area is going to be a blue pill, and that corresponds with the total task color. So business is in my focus area, so the total score is blue. Family is in my good enough quadrant. So on the task card, mail stuff to Guam, family pill, it's yellow. So I know at a snapshot which tasks are my focus tasks and which ones are just in the efficient or good enough quadrant. The ideal scenario is you have no cards in overwhelm. However, sometimes it'd be like that and you got cards in overwhelm. So, and I'm going to get into that too. All right. So, damn, it's already been an hour being on this live. I told Abby it'd only take an hour. It's okay. We're coming towards the tail end of this. But thanks for sticking around if you've been here this long. I think I just love to blabber about stuff, and I'm hoping that you're getting value out of everything I'm blabbering about. Okay, so when you move these around, so like I could take pets and like, oh man, it's glitched. Let me see what happens if I refresh. All right, so what's supposed to, okay. All right, whatever. So what's supposed to happen is you can take the categories that you create and put them into a quadrant. So for pets, like if I don't want this to be my focus area, I'll be like, all right, well, let's put pets in good enough. Here you have on the x-axis, time, energy, and investment. The further things are on this area, the more time and energy it's going to require you. On the left side, you have change effectiveness. So the higher things are, that means more stuff is changing in your life, like actively changing. So right now, for example, my YouTube channel, I'm just making YouTube shorts. I'm not posting any long form content. This is probably the only long form content that I've posted in like 2 months. So I haven't been putting much time and energy into it. And also like not much has changed. So that's where I put it. Right now, I'm spending all of my time and energy working on this app and building systems to help support whatever it is that I'm going to create in the future. So business is like, you know, in my time and energy investment. And then I just need to be real. Is the change effectiveness really high? Is it kind of mid? Is it kind of low and bordering overwhelm? I would say it's like right here. And then same for finances. Like finances, honestly, this is probably like maybe like here. So you start to think about like, what is actually using up a lot of your time and energy? And am I actually making a difference in that area? And then you start to ask yourself, why or why not? Like, why is this the case? Like, I think just doing this exercise, like right now, you could stop this video, screenshot this, and do this exercise in your journal, and you'll get value out of it. Like, you'll get more value out of it if you do it in the workshop, because there's like a whole lead up into it that helps you pick the categories in your life and like what to focus on and all that jazz. But like if I were to set this graph, this matrix up based on like where I was last year when I first moved to Hawaii, business was like here, teetering overwhelm, taking a lot of time and energy. Finances, definitely an overwhelm. Pets wasn't a category. YouTube was like probably also an overwhelm because I was feeling anxious about like not making videos. but I wasn't actually making videos, so no change was happening. I was just feeling FOMO, essentially. Family, I would say that was in like good enough. Relationships, that was probably probably like over here. Health, that was just not health was not helping. I just didn't I wasn't feeling good about myself at the time. Like I was still working out, but I wasn't seeing change. I was feeling anxious about like I was working with a personal trainer, blah blah blah. Basically, I was in overwhelm. My home was a disaster at the time because we were moving boxes, we were sleeping on a mattress on the floor. It was just like our air conditioning had mold in it. It was just a lot. Yeah, so I would say this is how my quadrant looked. And then I built the good enough, or not the good enough. I built the Power Moves workshop to solve my own problem. I was like, what is happening right now, and how can I like organize my mind so that I'm not living in a constant state of overwhelm, draining a ton of time and energy because of the mental like Olympics that I'm doing, because of all these things that I'm experiencing. So that's what birthed the Power Moves workshop, was solving my own problem and dealing with overwhelm. And slowly over time, I just was like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to have to be fine with the home being like this. Finances are going to have to just sit like that. You know what? Health, I'll get to it when I can. YouTube, I'm just going to have to be okay with not posting. So that was the first step. And then from there, I like slowly started to be like, okay, I want business to be the focus area. I would also like finances to be there. My home, let's get that. Like I made it, like at some point I switched business and put home here, and then home ended up being here. You get the point. So anyways, do the workshop if you have not done it at this point, because this matrix is phenomenal in keeping you out of a state of overwhelm. Like I live by this. That's why it's in the app. I live by this so much that I legitimately scheduled an appointment with a lawyer to trademark or patent or whatever, make this thing mine, because I just think it's that valuable. And I'm like, I want to push this out into the world, because what it does to relieve anxiety and stress, I can't even like express it. So I feel like if I'm going to go out of the way to patent or trademark this thing, that's saying something. Like that's how much I believe in this thing. Anyway, that was my long spiel about the good enough matrix. Okay, so let me see. Health is here. All right. So the colors correspond with the cards that are on here. And if you're wondering why only some of the cards are filled in, the numbers are filled in for some of them and like blank for the others, that's because there's a condition set that uses like the 20% rule, the 20-80% rule, which is basically that 20% of the things that you do can get you 80% of your results. So for progress pushers and maintenance, these two columns, it's only going to fill in the top 20% of tasks in this column. And this is to keep you from feeling like everything in this column is important and should be done, and get you to just focus on what you have in the today column. So the today column, any task you put in there is going to be filled in. In the part column, everything is empty. And that's just to get you to focus on what's today and what's your top 20%. So these colors, like they change. So if health is an overwhelm, and I come in here, now this card is red. So that's how that works. So it's like immediate feedback and seeing like what you're focusing on. And you can have more than one primary focus area, or you can have more than one focus area, but one of them is going to be the primary area. This should not say primary focus. This was AI going rogue. So if I go to business, I've set this as my primary focus. And where that comes into play is the prompt button at the top. So this prompt button is going to hold reflection prompts for a card deck that I'm working on digitally that's going to one day be physical. And when you click on it, this is going to reveal a prompt that I wrote. This was not written by me. This is just a placeholder text. But on the side, you will be subliminally messaged whatever you put in that container on the side to remind you of what you're working on, why you're working on it, and what's good enough for that area. So if I were to change my primary focus area to, I don't know, pets, or let's do YouTube because that's about to happen. YouTube, set this as my primary focus area. It turns blue, come in here. YouTube becomes the primary focus thing on the side. So again, these are suggested things that you come up with, not push notifications that something is telling you what to do. Like, this is all for you, made by you. Like, everything in here, whatever you may only have 4 categories in your life, and that's because that's what works for you. You may have 12. I wouldn't suggest that, but maybe that's what works for you. The only thing that I'm thinking about is putting on like a blocker where you can't have you can't do this because this would defeat the entire purpose of the app. And unless you're like, I don't know, a freaking Avenger, like this is just not realistic. Yeah. So you, at this point, like, you either are Beyonce and you have a team, but this would defeat the whole purpose of the app. So probably going to put some friction in between allowing people to do that. Otherwise, that is the good enough matrix. I haven't said anything about the logo. This is a placeholder logo. I literally just created this thing on ChatGPT, was like, this makes sense. Alignment, sun, check mark, whatever. But I don't think this is going to be the app logo forever, but it's going to stay like that for now because I don't want to spend time worrying about the design when I could be building something that's helping people. All right, the last thing I want to just talk about before closing up is future additions. So the future things that I'm going to add on is a calendar. So the idea is when you go into the calendar view, and I built this in the first version of the app, it was a very janky version, but the concept worked. And also, like, I created the calendar in a way that was like actually usable. I have a gripe with calendars, so I made it sure that I ungriped myself with calendars in my own app. But basically, you'll be able to see like a calendar view, and then you'll be able to toggle between your today, progress pushers, and maintenance, and then drag and drop your cards onto the calendar. And your calendar will be integrated from whatever app you use. So I'll probably just like go for the big ones like Google Calendar, Outlook, and I don't think I can do Apple Calendar because I think Apple uses like their own code, and I'll probably just start with Google Calendar and Outlook. Yeah, so that's the idea for that. Being able to put task cards on your calendar so you can schedule them. Recurring tasks is something that I'm thinking about putting in here, and that I think is going to work with I thought actually it was going to work with the calendar until last night. I might have accidentally convinced myself to build in a habit tracker into this thing, but very intentionally, kind of like everything else. Let me know if you want a habit tracker in this thing. When I beta test this, it'll be something that I like test with that. So we'll see. But the habit tracker would work hand in hand with recurring tasks, because I haven't built recurring tasks in here because I'm not sure how it would work so far. Because recurring tasks, honestly, those shits fuck me up. Like, they just make me feel bad. I ignore them all the time. And I'm like, the idea of being like, I'm going to do this thing every Thursday, it feels better until Thursday comes and you're like, I ain't got time for that. Stop telling me to do this, even though you were the one that set the parameters. So I need to figure out how to make recurring tasks work well in this app. And I think the way that I might have unlocked it is doing it with a habit tracker, but I'm very hesitant about putting a habit tracker in this thing because a habit tracker essentially is a recurring task list that's something to do over and over and over again. Also, I like my habit tracker in my bullet journal, so I don't know. Winona, recurring tasks, my downfall. Elaine says, would love a habit tracker or recurring tasks. Either would do. Yeah. I'll test it out and see. And try and live with it and see how it goes. But that's on the debate line. So if you have thoughts on that, all comments and feedback welcome. And then the pain cave. So I built the pain cave. If you have not seen it before, it is this timer that I made. It's the very first app that I made that got me into doing this. And in the first version of the app, I created a button where you clicked on it and it auto-populated a task in this thing. And then when you started working on the task, the timer would go up. And then when you come back to the task, there would be, it would show you the cumulative amount of time spent on the task on the card. Personally, like, I'm not a big timer person, but I know a lot of you guys are. And sometimes, like, when it comes to the tasks that are much harder to get yourself to do, giving yourself time credit or a time limit to avoid perfectionism. Because honestly, this would probably be good for editing videos for me. It'd be like 2 hours, no more. Like, cut yourself off and just like go from there. I think that's how I would use the timer. But that's going to be something that's going to be added into this. And then when this thing gets into its final form, there's going to be multiple boards. That sounds a little overwhelming, but trust me, there's going to be multiple boards for each category. And then additionally, to further lean into the task task alignment title, is I'm going to integrate astrology. So if you haven't been keeping up, basically I have been baptized in astrology juice starting in like January. I have discovered the benefits of leaning into that, into the universe, and translating it into practical things that have done nothing but accelerated my progress. Honestly, it's what led me to building this app. Like, I would not be building this app if it was not for astrology. I will say that. So there's going to be an option, kind of like the matrix and the wheel. You don't have to do these things. There'll be an option where you can like put in your birth details, and then based off of that, you'll have like little prompts or suggestions like, hey, there's a new moon in Virgo happening right now. And if you're like actually a Virgo, it'd be like, consider really focusing on your routines and like refining your spiritual practice or like whatever. So just like gentle suggestions where it's like, hey, the wind is blowing in this direction. If you would like assistance from the wind, here are the things that you could do. That's how I want to use astrology in this app. And that's what I think is, because I'm noticing there's a big gap with people who use astrology and people who don't use astrology. The people who use astrology, I think it's harder to translate that stuff into practical things. And the people over here who don't use astrology and are all about the practical things are kind of like perfectionists and control freaks and need to find a balance in letting go and working with the energy in the universe. I'm just going to say it that way. So that's my intent for this app. That is its final form. I'm hoping to get this thing out and in development onto the App Store in its full form by January. But before that, beta testing, and this is like it's phase 1 right now. I'm going to say there's like 4 phases. Phase 1, I'm going to release to beta testers. So if you have at some point purchased the Power Moves workshop or the journaling workshop party, and during that specific window where I was advertising free access to this, if you did, it's coming your way. Otherwise, you can click on the description, click in the link below or whatever to sign up on the wait list if you are interested in task alignment. I'm thinking about like pricing and all that stuff. And I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to commit to this because this is like, if I'm wanting to build my dream app here and I want it to be everything that I wish already existed. And let me tell you now, I hate subscriptions. So this is not going to be a subscription situation, a subscription model. It's just going to be a one-time payment and benefit for the rest of your freaking life. I want you to be aligned. I need you people in the audience. I know you guys are capable of doing amazing things. So I want to give you guys something that will help you execute on those things in a way that brings you lots of joy and happiness, because that's just what makes the world a better place, when we share the things that we have to offer with joy. And that's what I'm doing. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me for this live. I went 15 minutes over the hour, but hey, if you made it this far and sat through the whole thing, I really appreciate you being here and supporting. If you're watching this in the future, please comment below on things that you wish were in this app, that you're excited about, stuff that you have questions about, feedback, etc. Thank you very much for joining me. I will see you guys the next time I stream the next phase of this thing. All right. TTYL. Bye.